Oh yeah, there is the intro music. Welcome to Chicago Now. I'm Anthony Ponce, joined by none other than Caitlin Cody.
Yes.
I think this is the first time we have co-hosted.
I love this.
Not only is the first time we've co-hosted, this is the debut for Chicago Now.
First
Welcome.
time hosting in jeans, too.
Yes,
right?
exactly. What do you think?
So this is going to be very buttoned down. We're relaxing. We're hanging out with you guys. We love you so much that we just want to chill.
I
talk.
literally took
Undid
my
a bu-
button
You
down.
undid a button.
Right. I've been in a tie for the last 3 hours delivering the news on Good Day Chicago, but
Yes.
it's really great. We want to connect with everybody on our online audience as well about all the trending topics, not just here in Chicago, but all around the country. And one of them that we were talking on the news this morning, Caitlin,
Yeah.
was Target, okay?
Yeah.
They are scaling back their self-checkout. We've all done the self-checkout at the grocery, at Target. They're scaling it down so you have to have 10 items or less. And there's a little bit of a dialogue going on today about whether this is due to just cost-cutting measures or if it has to do with theft.
So we had a little factoid on the show, and it said that there was a $500 million shrink-related loss compared to the previous year.
That's a euphemism for people are stealing stuff.
So I would assume that maybe that had something to do with it. Have you guys seen those trending stories where it shows somebody who is stealing, and the way they do it is they'll scan something cheap and then they put something more expensive in their cart?
Oh, yes, that does ring a bell. That
And that's
does
how they
ring a
do-
bell.
And then I heard that they keep track of this, and once it reaches a certain threshold, then they'll take action, as in like the police will take action.
So Target is kind of denying that this is theft related.
Yeah.
Maybe they don't want to go screaming from the rooftops that folks are shoplifting from their locations, but industry analysts, they are saying this is the real reason. Now, Caitlin, I understand you had an interesting experience doing one of these self-checkouts.
It was so sweet. Every time I tell the story, I get goosebumps, you guys. This is a true story, too, and it brought tears to my eyes. So I was at Target, and I was a hot mess. This was probably a couple months ago.
Okay.
I had the 3 kids, the baby strapped to my chest, the 2 kids with me, and the grocery cart was full. Target cart was full. And I was fumbling at the checkout. I had a Target card, but it was, I guess I didn't call the number and get it activated yet. So I was sitting there trying, probably annoying everybody behind this nice couple, trying to get my debit card to start up because it wasn't working, and I was getting all frustrated. And this sweet, sweet young couple that was in line behind me, this girl came up to me and she's like, "My boyfriend's really shy, but he wants to help you. Can we pay for your stuff?" And she had cash
And you had a
in her
cart full of
hand.
stuff? And you had a cart full of
Yes!
stuff?
And this young man was in like
Yeah.
construction
Yeah.
gear. You could tell he just came from work. Hard-working young guy. How stinking sweet.
That is great.
I was like,
So how did it play out? Did
I said
you get it
no.
activated, or
I just used a different card, which
You
I
used a
probably
different-
should have done, but
okay.
I was being stubborn and I was cranky, and I was probably like, I'm gonna get this figured out right now so I can save 5%. But just
that is one of those stories, you know, with all the stuff we have to cover on the news in the negative category, that renews your faith in humanity, and we need more of those kinds of people. You know what it's like as a mom to travel with your kids, right? Like through an airport, it is
Yes.
no joke. Ever since we had toddlers ourselves, my wife, when she sees a struggling mom in the airport, always offers to help. I'm not surprised with a young couple.
Yes.
Because they can relate over anyone what you are going through in that moment, fumbling with 3 kids in tow, trying to get your errands
You know,
done.
I gotta say, like, even if you are at the grocery store and you're behind a mom or even any parent, and they've got stuff underneath the cart to help them load it onto the thing, super helpful. Now, don't cross the line. This has also happened to me before, too, where there was a guy who was helping me out at the grocery store, and I'm going off on a tangent now, but he followed me to, like, it was Aldi. So then we go over to the part where you put your groceries in the bag, and he was like, "Can I help you?" I was like, "No, I'm good. Then somehow we ended up walking out at the same time.
Okay,
and
uh-oh.
he grabbed the cart, and he's like, "I'll help you push it to your car." And I was like, brakes, no,
Yeah,
too
yeah,
much.
yeah.
No, thank you.
There was a Goldilocks zone there, and
was. Yeah.
he went over the
He
line.
crossed it.
Anyway, chime in if you're joining us on YouTube this morning. Chime in. Let us know what you think about this scaled back self-checkout lane.
What do you think?
I mean, I understand. It's
Yeah.
probably a good thing for folks because a lot of these self-checkouts, when I get to them, I do have there's a little learning curve. There's like a minute learning curve where you're like, okay, hold on, let me orient myself. This is a little different than the Whole Foods one. It's a little different than the Jewel one. I got to figure this out.
Okay.
And so if I've got a million items, and you know how sometimes you have to weigh the bananas and find the hardest thing is finding the produce because you have to look those up sometimes, right?
Yeah.
When they're not when there's no barcode.
Are like, bam, 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 bam.
So I have mixed feelings about the self-checkout, and as I think Mike Kaplan pointed out on the air earlier, is in terms of this cost saving, there's always a couple of employees there anyway to guide folks through the process, right? Right?
Yeah, I like the old school way.
I like the old school way too. I enjoy a little interaction with the cashier. So let us know how you're feeling about scale back self-checkout in the comments section. Caitlin, another person who's getting some buzz these days is our very own Governor J.B. Pritzker.
Mm-hmm. He was on Kimmel.
He was on Kimmel.
Yeah.
And I know you're in the weather department. There's kind of a hard line between weather and news, right? I know you're not following up, but I'm guessing you've heard his name dropped when it comes to like presidential bud for for the next election cycle, 3 years and 8 months from now. Well, Governor Pritzker gave a very, very, let's call it fiery speech in the state of New Hampshire in the last couple of days and appeared on Jimmy Kimmel to recap this speech because it got a lot of buzz. There was a lot of viral moments. The right, none too pleased with our very own J.B. Pritzker. So let's take a listen here.
Clip.
Well, my first question, Governor, is did I buy you that suit or did you bring that?
That's what I was wondering backstage. How come you didn't buy me a suit? You got Dax a suit?
You have to, on your 18th appearance, you are awarded a suit.
Okay.
You're a billionaire, though. It seems like you could buy suits.
No, but the only way you end up being a billionaire is getting other people
to buy suits. That's very smart. I heard you asked our producers, hey, what should I wear on the show?
It's true. I wasn't sure. I mean, you're wearing a suit. I wasn't sure if you wanted casual or what, but I got, 17 people to advise me on what to wear.
I see.
I hope you're okay. My wife, in the end, is the one who picked this.
She did a good job. And is the purple, is that a symbol of bringing America together or just purple?
If you want it to be.
Are you mourning the Lakers' loss last night? Is that what's going on? Or maybe celebrating the Lakers' loss last night?
Can I just say, I mean, I'm a Chicago Bulls fan. I know we got a few Chicagoans here. So, whenever there's a Chicago Bulls game, I'm for them. But otherwise, I don't give a darn.
Oh, you don't? Oh,
Okay, so Anthony, what is the play here? You're following it so close. Is he hinting? Is he hinting?
I think so. I was trying to post our debut episode. This is very meta right now, but we just took a great shot.
Socials?
This is the debut episode of ChicagoNOW. And okay, so back to JB. I definitely think he's angling. I mean, you don't fly halfway across the country and give a fiery anti-Trump speech if you're not at least testing the waters. Mm-hmm. Now, later in that clip, Jimmy presses him on it a little bit. He's like, I know you're not going to break any news on my show and announce your candidacy, but there was certainly no ruling out the possibility.
In his personal life, I guess he's just all politics all the time.
He is.
I wonder if anybody ever gets burned out on it.
Man, they seem to be wired to go and go and go and go. One thing that I am always astounded by during the campaign cycle is the energy that these candidates have to muster.
Right.
Imagine, we have to be so-called on for the news.
Sure.
Imagine doing that every single night in front of a huge arena and having to answer questions and do the debates,
and be perfect.
At all times, and then avoid all those viral moments. But Caitlin, he certainly is not without the budget.
Yeah, right. You're a billionaire. You don't need me to buy your suit.
Got more money than our current president.
Can I tell you something? Speaking of being on all the time, because this is on my mind and I can't stop thinking about it. You guys, I was doing an interview today and I was talking to a teacher and I was really interested in what she was saying. So we have these chairs downstairs that are kind of high off the ground and the armrests are not that thick, okay? So I was leaning like this to talk to her,
Caitlin.
And my arm went like this. I am so embarrassed.
Was it on?
And I didn't know. I didn't know.
It was in the frame?
It was on camera because I got a text from both my mom and my husband. Like, what was that? You just almost fell off the seat. And I was like, I didn't know that it was on, because, you know, we pull up videos and we're interviewing, so it could be a close-up of her face or something, but no, I guess this.
So I'm guessing you're loving these big leather lazy boys.
I just like that we can be more relaxed during this show.
Jenna and Delaney, can we get the crank here so we can,
Right?
we're just.
Really? I need time to switch into sweats before.
Okay, I don't
gracious.
mean to spoil the party, but this is kind of a stressful topic as well for a lot of Chicagoans and
The Met
folks.
Gala?
I'm
The
sorry?
Met Gala?
The Met Gala? No. We're gonna get that's
Why
kind
is
of
it stressful?
For,
okay.
If I was a fashionista, that might be
Yeah.
stressful.
Oh,
but Caitlin,
sorry. What were you gonna say?
Do you
Yeah.
have the real ID? The
real ID. Oh, the real ID.
The
Yeah, that's coming
deadline
up next.
is coming. It's May 5th right now, Cinco de Mayo. 2 days is May 7th, and this is a hard deadline this time. This is a deadline, Caitlin, that has been pushed back and pushed back and pushed back. But there's been insane lines at the downtown super site to get this thing, and you're 2 days away from either needing a passport or needing this thing to get on a domestic flight. Question A, do you have yours?
No.
Do you have a passport?
Yes, but also I don't really travel. So this is only an issue if you're going to be flying.
Okay.
I couldn't tell you the last time I took a flight.
Really?
No.
Is it just a personal preference thing? Or, I mean, I don't want to dig in
I've had
too much.
like 16 babies in the past
Yeah.
like 5 years, so I feel like I'm just kind of anchored at home for sure. Also, the thought of traveling with the kiddos kind of gives me sweats.
Bueno. You have to. Well, you would probably have to pack 2 car seats.
A second. I'd have to pack my U-Haul.
The worst thing about it is the car seat. You have to bring the car seat
Yeah.
in the Uber. You have to check the car seat. You have to
No.
load it onto the
I'm not
plane.
doing
You got to
it.
load it off.
No
put it in
way.
the rental car.
Okay, but wait. So this real ID thing,
Yeah.
so it's only a problem if you're flying. What other issues, maybe the ladies could Google it for us. Like, what other problems could you have if you don't have the real ID? If
I
you get
know.
pulled over,
There's a government. Okay, you know when you go to if you're ever indicted on federal charges,
Oh, God. Yeah,
Caitlin,
okay.
you will need that real ID to go to court. So my understanding is that you need it for domestic flights, and you need it to get into certain government buildings and
what
military
about jury duty
facilities.
then?
Maybe. That's a great question. Maybe Jenna and Delaney can look that up for us. But yeah, beginning May 7th, the federal government will require every person 18 years or older to present the real ID compliant state-issued driver's license. I actually want to know from folks here in Chicago what your experience has been like to try to get your hands on this thing. Quick story on my end. I took my stuff in to get my real ID because I'm still without one, and I figured it'd be way easier to just have the real ID rather than having to pack a passport.
You're a jet setter too. I mean, in comparison to me, you know. Okay, so let's hear it. What's the story?
Okay, so I went in there. I had everything, right? At
No,
least
you
I
didn't.
thought I had everything.
You didn't have your child's birth certificate.
They said pay stub would work for one of the forms of ID that has your social security number on it. And my pay stub had the last 4 digits of my social security number, and they wouldn't take it. So I figured that this would just I read, oh, pay stub works. Here's a pay stub. I didn't look at the pay stub quickly. So you really do have to dot all the I's, cross all the T's to get them. So I'm 0 for 1 in getting my real ID. So I still have to do that. But my strategy at this point is we have seen over the last 2 weeks round the block lines outside the Chicago super site where they're actually promising like 7 to 10 minute waits. Just for the frenzy, I'm going to use my passport in the short term and just wait for the whole frenzy to die down, and then I'm going to go take another at-bat.
So my question is, this might be a silly question because everybody's lining up. Can you do it online? Because you can renew your license online. So you've got to be there in person.
You got to go in person, and you got to bring the paper document. I actually tried to pivot and be like, hey, well, I can pull it up on my phone with my social security there, and like, ixnay. They said no.
You get 5 seconds. If you don't got your stuff, I never have the
there's a line,
stuff.
and you want to be So my one piece of advice: just make sure you triple check your paper documents before you go in to save yourself an errand.
Bring your whole file
messed
cabinet.
that up.
You know.
Yeah, exactly.
By the way, I talked to Kaplan. He got his real ID. He had to take the test again. Did you know that if it's past a certain amount of time, or if your ID expires, you've got to take this test?
The errand I was just telling you about wasn't a total washout because I was there to take the test as well.
Oh, you had to do the test?
And yeah, I didn't study or anything. You can get by on common
Like, what
sense.
does a red sign mean?
Right, or like it's the old school. It's like they'll show you
shape.
the shape of the sign, and is that a yield sign? Is that a stop sign? That kind
And then
of
they
thing.
test your vision,
Yeah, they test your vision.
and then they quiz you on a million different things.
Yeah, there's 30 questions. There's 30 questions, no cheating.
And don't mess up one question.
Okay,
so now we're talking. We're transitioning.
Now we're talking. Caitlin, this is probably a topic that's closer to your heart because you're a very fashionable individual.
Who?
You're a very fashionable individual, Caitlin Cody.
I wear this.
How much attention do you pay to the Met Gala? Because this is essentially the Super Bowl of fashion, which is happening tonight, right? Would you call it the Super Bowl of fashion? Or is that the Oscars?
Ladies?
Ladies?
Ladies.
We get a ruling.
Is the Met Gala the Super Bowl of fashion?
Yes.
Okay, here we go. All right, so it's an annual benefit of the Metropolitan Museum of Art's Costume Institute. It's more than just a fundraiser, it's a cultural moment where celebrities turn the museum's famous steps into a runway of jaw-dropping and over-the-top fashions. So, who are we looking forward to seeing, Anthony? Who's on the top of your list?
I don't know much, but I do know this. LeBron James is an honorary co-chair for this event. And the only other thing I know about it is that he's got some time on his hands right now. Lakers didn't quite do it in the first round. So LeBron James is in the offseason. I expect big fashion things out of him. I understand Pharrell Williams is someone to look out for as well. And that's the extent of my fashion knowledge.
Okay.
I would love to see Delaney's going to show us. Oh, wow. Okay, there's Cynthia Erivo.
Beautiful.
That Florence Pugh there. Oh, look at these. That's classy right there.
Wow.
That would be Penelope Cruz right there. And is that
that would be.
Was that No, hold on. We need.
I know this is going fast. Okay, you could pull that off.
Saoirse Ronan, is that her name? We need Jake here to guide us through some of these. Maybe our viewers can help out.
How would you feel if you were walking down the runway in a really fancy outfit?
I could pull that look off, right?
I like that they're all serious because your face would hurt at the end if you were smiling.
Caitlin, let's say you got an invite to this thing. Do you think you'd go more understated, or do you think you'd go really bold?
Ooh, could we Google the craziest Met Gala outfit and pull it up? Was it Lady Gaga? And then I'm going to ask you, Anthony.
Is that the one that she wore a meat dress? It was a dress made out of
There was many things. Or she was carried in and she was like in an egg or something.
Yeah. Okay.
I would probably do understated because I don't know what I'm doing.
I would too. I'd go like standard tux with a little flair somewhere.
Maybe like a little color. We had a fashion guy on this morning and he wore this really cool jacket that was like, it was a suit jacket, but it was 2 different colors. And then he had a little bit of a gem thing on his tie.
A rhinestone.
He does jewelry too. So maybe that's. Oh, let's see those weird outfits.
Check out some of these hits. Oh boy, that looks like, you know what that reminds me of, guys, is who's the character from Zoolander, the Will Ferrell
Oh
character?
no. All right, so this is Gwendolyn.
Yeah, Mogatu, yeah. Exactly.
Weirdest headgear.
Lana Del Rey.
She's beautiful, isn't she?
Oh my gosh, look at, that's a hat?
I think it's gear. It's gear. Okay. Well, that looks beautiful.
She looks fantastic. I mean, again, this is not me being an expert here. And then who's the sleeveless man?
That's your outfit, Anthony.
There we go.
We know you got the guns.
Andrew Scott. Okay. Is that Serena? No.
Denim. Okay. Was this a hit or a miss? I don't even know. I don't know.
Okay. Well, you know what? You know we're going to have is that Cardi right there?
Blooming Outrageous?
We are going to have a full wrap, and you know there's going to be so much chatter. Oh, Nicki Minaj, yeah. We're going to have so much chatter about this mañana.
Maybe we could bring an expert in that actually knows what they're talking about.
Yeah, they'll go through them and give the
what's in,
the
what's
hits.
out?
And yeah, exactly.
What's
All right,
out?
so we are going to get local with a look at what is popping on. Do you ever cruise the Reddits, the subreddits online?
When I'm looking for answers.
Okay, when you're looking for answers.
Yeah.
Well, coming up after the break, we are checking in on the Chicago Reddit for those answers. So stay with us, everybody.
Welcome back. You are watching Chicago Now. Anthony and
I like the logo there with the Chicago Red Star, the six-pointed
beautiful.
star.
It looks very modern.
Dig it. Dig it. Welcome back, everybody.
I was thinking about this style thing and how I keep saying I don't have style. It is so funny. It's so funny because a lot of the ladies in my neighborhood, we're all moms, and one of them posted something that said, "What are moms wearing these days? Where are we shopping these days? If you say Old Navy, I'm gonna die." And the funny thing is, Anthony, I love Old Navy. I love Old Navy.
All right.
Old Navy, Gap, Athleta, if you're really trying to, like, you know, step it up a level.
Sure.
But I just was laughing so loud because I thought, what's wrong with Old Navy? Is Old Navy?
It's been so long. I just haven't been there in forever.
Where do you shop?
I've gotten my kids some basic stuff from Old Navy. And
your wife is very stylish,
I would say,
though.
Zara is a go-to. Bonobos for me.
So we're on different levels.
Hold on, the Athleta. I've been curious about that before.
Athleta's
we move on.
fancy.
Okay.
They've got really nice wallets.
In the pantheon of athletic wear, where does that rank between that and Lululemon?
Lululemon is very expensive.
Is that more
I don't
expensive
think I
than
own
Athleta?
anything Lululemon.
Okay.
But I think Athleta, I thought Athleta was a really nice, you know, fancier athletic brand.
I think Maggie's got a pair of like yoga tights from there.
Sure. Anyways,
all right, we're getting local, everybody,
Yeah.
and we're going to check out what is trending this morning on the Chicago subreddit. I think there's about 500,000, 593,000 members of the Chicago. Okay, so this is a
this
post
dibs?
from, let's see, this was from a day ago. Is the question on this one, is this dibs?
Do you see the car flipped upside down? How did that happen, you guys?
Hold on, I'm tethered,
What?
I'm tethered in here. What are we looking at
There
there?
it is.
Oh my gosh, how did that happen?
How did that happen? And nobody else is affected by this. It's like the car was dropped from the sky onto...
When? Oh my God. Delaney, when was this posted? This is 3 days ago. I wonder if we covered this over the weekend. How does, on a side street especially, you know, you can imagine an overturned car accident happening on one of the main arterials of Chicago, but that looks like a neighborhood
That's
street,
what I'm
right?
saying. How did this even happen? So is this dibs, I would say.
Is this dibs? Yeah, I'd say you got that spot safe for a while. The lights, the headlights are still on. Those still work.
And there's nobody around, right? It's like, where is everybody that's running out to help or see what's going on out here?
All right, Chicago.
Hey, if you own this car, please reach out.
We need the backstory.
We need the story.
All right, what else we got that's popping on the our Chicago
Reddit.
subreddit here? Let me see. I know there was.
Have you ever been in an accident like that where you flip over?
Gosh, knock on wood.
Right? Yes. No.
Thankfully not.
No, but I did see a story actually over the weekend of this woman who had two of her kids in the car. The video actually showed it. She was going through a stop sign, but the person that was going across was not stopping, hit them. She rolled. They were all three fine. All three of them were fine.
They got a guardian angel up there.
Yes, they do.
So I know that Mike Kaplan likes to kind of nerd out over some of the, because I was surfing this a little bit earlier, nerd out over some of the nature stuff.
Yes.
The migratory birds, all the plant life.
The hummingbirds are coming.
The hummingbirds. Did you see that clip that he has?
I did.
That was so great. Our very own Mike Kaplan has set up a live stream of his hummingbird feeder, and you can actually hear the twittering.
This is another story you missed. Actually, we talked about this. Can I tell you something?
Sure.
So I bully Mike Kaplan into trying to get him to buy a birdhouse because I have two, and I was like, Mike, you got to do it. Like, this is just so fun. So he's like, look, I'll get a hummingbird feeder instead. I was like, okay, fine. So long story short, I have two birdhouses because I thought that my bluebirds would come back this year. They haven't. I've got no nest in my birdhouses. But over the weekend, I was using our powder bathroom, you know, like the main floor bathroom. And I was sitting there and I thought, is that a raccoon? Like I heard scratch, 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 scratch. So I was like, great, I think we have an animal. And so he went outside and there's like a fan in the bathroom. And on the outside of the house, there's like a vent. These birds made a nest.
In the vent?
In the bathroom vent. So I'm not gonna.
Choice.
And so I was standing out there,
Choice
and it has
of
a
venue
flap,
by those birds. Okay, yeah,
The
we have the
flap
same
was
setup
going,
at our house.
and they snuck in, and it was a big bird, you guys. So we've got a nest. It's just not in an ideal location, and I'm not kicking them out.
I saw somebody posted on the Our Chicago Today. It was an aerial shot of some of the migratory birds. They were flying in formation. Because I don't know if you know this, Caitlin, but
we're in the path.
We are on a corridor. And that is why all the like the bird advocates are always advocate for these glazed windows, because bird strikes are by the thousands this time of year in Chicago with all our glass and steel buildings.
Yes. And if you're wondering, you see like women, I've seen them walking around with these nets.
Yeah, there it is.
They're trying to save these birds that have run into the buildings. Oh, look at that. And our piping plovers. Maybe we've got some.
Yeah, our little piping
They're
plovers.
back this year too.
Delaney, what's the name of these that we're looking at here? It starts with a C.
You know what else?
Those aren't seagulls, but they're like, I was reading a little bit about them, and they're apparently, this breed right here is like one of the most reviled. Cormorant.
Cormorant?
Is that how we pronounce it?
Maybe we could pull up a picture
Where's
of
Mike
it.
Kaplan?
Do I have my phone?
Where's Mike Kaplan when we need him?
I can look it up.
But they're incredible creatures. They can they're like penguins.
They can swim.
They can swim amazingly well. They can go all the way to the bottom of the lake or the ocean
and catch
fish. They've got a hooked beak. It's really actually fascinating.
Do we have it? I'm trying to pull it up. Let's see.
I went down a little. Yeah, there they are.
Oh, they're huge.
Yeah.
That's a lot bigger than I thought.
Cormorant.
Oh, I see.
And
Cormorant.
Do you see the look? Check out the beak, Caitlin. Of these
Let's
things.
see this
There's
beak.
a little hook on the end.
It almost looks like it doesn't belong here, right?
But I didn't get to the part where it talks about why they're so reviled. Because look at how cute they are. They're a little penguin-esque, right?
So they're the only two species of family commonly encountered in Britain and Ireland. Wait a second.
They come to Chicago.
And they come to Chicago. Medium to large birds. They weigh up to 11 pounds. So these are big boys.
Yep. And so that's what was flying in formation on our lakefront.
Wow.
Caitlin, last week, actually,
150 feet they can dive, by the way.
That's
150
unbelievable.
feet.
You gotta have lungs, and they're speedy. They're speedy underwater. I asked, we hosted 3 artists, the Chicago Artists of the Year on our show. I believe it was Friday. And I asked each of them for a recommendation for our viewers about where to go. And the first guy, he's an amateur photographer. He was just picked as one of the 2025 Chicago Artists of the Year. Yeah. And he's like, go to Montrose Harbor and watch the migratory birds. There's a whole bird sanctuary out there. If you haven't been, it is adjacent to Montrose Harbor, and where the boats are. If you go behind there and you get off at the Montrose exit, you can just walk over there, and you'll see all kinds of awesome birds this time of year. Yeah, so check that out.
Have you heard of the app that? Sorry, go ahead, Delaney. Bird condos.
We roll out the red carpet for our birds here in Chicago, don't we?
Everybody loves birds. You can get this app these days too, where you pull it up when you're outside if you hear some tweeting going on, singing, and it'll tell you what kind of birds
Based
you're
on the
hearing.
audio?
Yes.
That is so cool.
Yes.
That is so cool. We got an app for everything now. My wife just downloaded the kind of the same thing for the plants.
Yeah.
Where you can just hold
you take a picture
of the leaf, and it analyzes the vein patterns of the leaves, and you get the thing immediately. Delaney, if we can pull up, I saw a really cool Etch-a-Sketch picture. Do your kids have an Etch-a-Sketch? Oh, okay.
What are we looking at here?
Okay, look closely. Look closely. See if you can make it out. It's a little hard from this angle.
Zion National Park.
It actually does. I can see where you're going there. That's the bean, correct? That's the bean. Okay, so that's the reflection of the buildings. It actually looked a little more intelligible on a smaller screen.
Okay.
But my 3-year-olds have been playing with the Etch-a-Sketch. This is
yours.
This is one of the toys.
No.
Oh my gosh, if I had that kind of ability.
Okay.
But this is one of the toys that has stood the test of time.
I need to get one of these bad boys.
Your kids don't have an Etch-a-Sketch?
No.
We're gonna have to rectify that situation.
We have just like the magnet thing where you draw with the pencil and the magnet.
Those are good too, because you can delete them right away.
Have your kids gotten butterflies from school to release? I think this is a thing that's happening. And you can also like purchase these kits online, I guess. Our neighbors came over because they're butterflies. You can get these things where it's like, speaking of migrating things, this is where I'm going with this, but it comes in like a netted enclosure. And I guess it comes with the little caterpillars, and then you can watch the whole cycle of the butterflies.
That's so cool.
And then you feed them fruit for a couple of days, and then you can take them outside and release them. And I was reading you should release them by trees for protection from the wind and from predators. But we did release our neighbor's butterflies a couple weeks back, and then it got really cold. So I'm not really sure
I hope they're doing okay.
about how that went with those.
We have had some nature experts, local ones, wildlife experts that are continuing to encourage everybody out there to plant milkweed. To bring
I have
back
milkweed, and it's coming out of the ground.
Okay.
Yes, for
that's
the
on our
butterflies.
list. That's for sure on our list for this summer as well.
Yeah.
We've got a couple blank canvases.
Yes.
We'll call them in our
Spots
backyard.
for your
yeah,
milkweed.
exactly.
I got my flowers in yesterday.
Good for you.
Got some coffee at 5 o'clock. Went to Home Depot. Picked out some flowers. I have no idea what I'm doing, but I did look for part sunflowers. We got a little bit of purple, a little bit of pink. Are you guys doing some gardening?
We are definitely, and actually one of the segments that we had this morning for homeowners out there with a lawn is this whole no mow May trend. Did I get that right? No mow May.
For
Have
the
you
creatures.
heard of what that is?
Yes.
Okay.
It's so the bunnies, right, can have
pollinators.
babies. Wait.
Yes.
But okay, wait.
I wish that were true.
It could be both.
There's no shortage of bunnies out there, at least in my neighborhood. No, this is
Kaplan had a camera with baby bunnies.
No,
okay.
Same exact
Same
concept
idea.
with bees.
Sure.
With bees, because we're trying to bring pollinators back, and
Got
apparently
it.
this no mow May thing is a big trend right now, where you basically either agree to not mow your lawn at all for the entire month, or to keep that lawnmower on the highest setting, and that way some of the lower standing natural wildflowers here in the Midwest will grow, and that'll encourage bees to come back. And the goal here is to revitalize the honeybee population,
honeybees.
which has been suffering in recent years.
And also, I remember talking about this story in years past. You don't have to do your whole lawn, okay? Just leave like the corner
right.
of your lawn if you have an HOA maybe or something. If you don't have that much, you don't want to do the whole grass. I get it. But just leave a part of your yard open for that tall grass, for the bees or the bunnies.
Okay, so Caitlin, when we come back, we're going to take a short break here, but I am going to quiz you about
Don't like that.
Your adrenaline, your desire to get an adrenaline rush, and we're going to talk about the future of a very beloved park in our area, and that is called Six Flags Great America.
Okay.
The question at hand: could
And welcome back to Chicago Now. We're talking about fun things to do in the summer, like Six Flags. So here's the thing, Anthony. Six Flags has been shut down in Maryland. So Six Flags president and CEO says the decision was made as part of a strategic review of the company's properties, and after reviewing a number of options, they believe that marketing the property for redevelopment will generate the highest value and return on investment. So of course, our minds go to Gurnee, right? Six Flags Gurnee. Is something going to happen to our beautiful park? Well, they say it's not.
We are told no.
They say it's not.
And by all indications, the park is thriving.
70 employees full time.
That in Maryland, they're going to lose their jobs. Yeah, I think there's more employees, at least seasonal employees,
yes.
At the Gurnee location, Six Flags Great America. But as we have been reporting, and I'm not sure which reporter is going to draw the. No, it's not a short straw. It's get the plum assignment, and that is to ride the Wrath of Rakshasa. This is the new. I believe it's the biggest drop on a roller coaster, or fastest drop of any North American. Like, all the coaster nuts are going to come to town to ride this thing. Are you an adrenaline person? Would you ride it?
No.
Okay.
And wasn't Roseanne out there? I think we sent Roseanne out there to cover
She's
this
been
new
out
roller
there for
coaster.
Stuff. I don't
Wasn't
know if
ready yet.
She's gone on a. Yeah, she gave us a preview of that because it's still under construction. It's not going to be done until I think July, sometime in July. But I rode with Theo, who has no fear, apparently.
What?
It's different than me as a kid. I wouldn't ride it. But we rode the Goliath, which
Okay.
is this vertical drop wooden coaster.
Did
And,
you enjoy
here's a look
it?
at the Wrath of Rakshasa, I believe is the animation.
Play this. By the way, if your kids are bored at home one time, pull up YouTube on the TV and just play these POVs of roller coasters. And if you really want to impress them, say, I rode this before. They love it. Okay, so here we go. We're starting off with a straight path.
Yeah, this is it.
Take a little turn. Oh, here we go. Straight up. Straight up.
Oh, that's the other thing about the Wrath of Rakshasa, everybody, is you will hang up there. You know how there's that. Have you ever ridden like a real steep roller coaster before?
Cedar Point roller coasters for
yeah,
sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
My favorite, the most exhilarating moment for me is the one we're looking at right here, where you just hang there. You know what I mean? For like 10 seconds before it really
and you trick yourself to say, look at this beautiful view. Okay,
Right?
I didn't know this happened.
And
What is this?
Yeah, so there's that.
This is like, hey, you ready? Hey, look. Oh,
That's a Raging Bull. This moment right here is
don't
the
like
best.
it.
It's like,
I don't like this.
Yeah, you just hang there.
Oh.
And then it's
No.
just like,
Can I just say, after having babies, I can't sit in the back seat of a car, let alone ride a roller coaster. I have no idea. I would be so
Have you ever
nauseous.
tried riding the swings at the playground?
Is that another one I have to avoid?
As an adult?
Yeah.
I can't do it. My stomach drops on the. It's just so embarrassing. But
It's too much.
It's true.
I like roller coasters, though. I'll say
Yeah,
that.
do
I
too.
like roller
do
coasters.
too.
Anything else?
I would actually do the Wrath. I think I would do them.
I think I would do it too.
I think I would do it.
I'm not
I don't
jumping
want
out
to
of
be
an
first.
airplane.
I want there to be a couple. I don't want to be the guinea pig there. A couple
No.
rounds. I hope they run it a couple times before they put me up there. But all right, so with Six Flags, that kind of begs the question. There's so many seasonal workers at Six Flags. Our very own Mike Kaplan, actually, throughout his teenage years, he used to be
Number one employee.
He was the amazing Alfredo at Six Flags Great America, where he would accurately, within like 1%, guess people's height and weight.
The most inappropriate question.
Very, very. I don't know if that would fly
Straight
in 2025.
shooter. Yeah.
2025. I don't know if they have the replacement for the amazing Alfredo. But we've been talking about our least favorite and most favorite summer jobs over the years. It's your turn.
Oh, goodness gracious. Which, by the way, Kaplan, he said he was never wrong. And you'll see a clip, actually, of that.
He
Should we
guessed
pull
my
it
weight
now?
within one.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
You know, I love fashion.
Can we crank up the
that was
volume a touch?
Yes, I'm able to tell everybody, this is what you look good in. You should take that.
My favorite job was working at Deb
Uh-huh.
at the
Can't
White
hear
Oaks
it. Can
Mall
you hear
in
it?
Springfield. It was amazing.
Yeah.
Oh, I
my
guess I could
least
crank up
favorite
my
job was my very first job was detasseling corn. All of the bugs and the hotness. It was not for me, but I learned the value of $1.
Okay, Perry, what was your favorite or least favorite summer job?
I'll say my favorite.
Okay.
Definitely nannying or being a babysitter. Best job. You can go to the pool, beach, make food, hang out, watch TV.
All-time favorite summer job. When I was 14 years old, I begged and pleaded to become the film critic for the Houston Chronicle in Houston, Texas. I was in 8th grade, and they let me do it. So for that entire summer, I got to go review movies like Spider-Man and Star Wars, and just have a really great sort of introduction into entertainment journalism. And I got my reviews published. I was 14 years old, and it was one of the greatest summers of all time. Summer movies, but also just summer experiences. And it was because of that summer job that I am standing right here at Fox 32 today.
As fate would have it, my very first job was at Great America. That was before it was part of the Six Flags family. We're going back to the late 70s. It was part of the Marriott Corporation, so it was Marriott's Great America. I had a friend of mine who was kind of a manager in the games department there, and we went to high school together. And he said, Mike, I need you to be the amazing Alfredo. I'm like, okay, what's that? So I got to be the guy who guessed your age, weight, or month of birth. I still remember the spiel. Hey, I'm the amazing Alfredo. I'll guess your age within 2 years, your weight within 3 pounds, or your month of birth within 2. People would hand $1 over to me, which was really the company. And then if they beat me, they got to take a prize. So people have asked me, Mike, how often did you win? And I say, every single time. Of course, you're going to say, that's impossible. You can't be that good. You have to be guessing the birth month. How could you ever know what's up? Here's the deal. You give me $1, okay? I guess something, and let's say that I win. I'm within 2 years, 3 pounds, or 2 months. You get nothing. Here's $1. If you beat me, you've given me $1. Now you go over there and you take a 33-cent prize. You tell me who won that transaction. Sadly, I didn't keep any of that. The company got all of the proceeds from that transaction. But what I will say, it was a fun job. On the days that I was off, got to go into the park for free, hang out, do the rides. It was a wonderful summer job. I worked there for 3 years, a couple of years doing the Alfredo gig, and then I was a supervisory role in the games department my 3rd year there. Just terrific fun, close to home for me, having grown up in Gurnee. And if things don't work out for me predicting weather, I'll still go back to guessing people's weight.
You know, that's cool because two of those stories had, I feel like there's a direct line between what they do then and what they do now.
Jake and
Kaplan. Kaplan still predicts stuff.
Yeah.
Just like you.
Yeah. And then Jake, he's been working here since he was 13, I'm pretty sure, right after that gig in 8th grade.
Pretty impressive.
Yeah, that's
How about
awesome.
you, Caitlin?
You know, I had some really fun summer jobs. One of them was I was a lifeguard. Okay. That one was very intense. I have to say, being a lifeguard, it's hard and it's scary, and you really have to be vigilant.
That'd be high stress. We covered a story about this is in the past year, where a teenage lifeguard was being charged because a child drowned on his watch, and there was a question of was he doing his job or not, and it was I mean,
it's so scary.
Multiple families' lives ruined in that situation. But that would be a very stressful job.
Like one of what you have to do, we were at a wave pool. So when you're lifeguarding at the wave pool, the big pool, you've got to make these like up and down movements with your head to make sure you catch all of the pool, but you have to look at all layers of the pool. And we were part of a program, I believe it was called Ellis, where they would have these dummy dolls, and the managers would come and drop the dolls during the regular, like middle of a busy day in the summer. They would drop these dolls in the deep end of the pool.
You could never let your guard down.
And if you missed it, I think you had 10 seconds maybe to get to this dummy doll. If you were doing your scans and you missed it, you got in huge trouble to the point where I remember one time I did miss it because the lifeguard before me missed it. It was on like the dark blue line, like close to the wall. And so my manager walked me around the park and made me write a letter to, we called him Timmy's parents, about how I let him drown. It was intense.
All right, so if that's your favorite job of the summer,
I don't know if that was my favorite. I don't know if that was my favorite. I was working with all my besties there.
Okay.
That was fun to be outside all summer. My favorite was probably being a barista. I used to be a barista at Big B Coffee. It was my fave. Yes.
Why that strikes me as stressful too. I don't think I could do
it. It was so fun.
Face to face. It was
you'd
fun.
Be great at it.
You didn't get yelled at by any like impatient people.
No.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good.
What about you?
So least favorite was I was the OJ boy at one of the local pancake houses.
OJ boy.
OJ boy. The reason I didn't like it is because I went around with this tray full of full glasses of fresh squeezed orange juice,
Yeah.
and my spiel was, I would ask, hey, excuse me, sir, would you like a fresh squeezed glass of orange juice this morning? And they'll be like, oh yeah, and then they'd take it.
And then they
But then
wouldn't pay you.
later they'd be charged for it.
Yeah.
And the spiel was like kind of deceptive because
Yeah.
people thought that I was offering them
Sure.
a free glass of fresh squeezed oranges. Who would say no to that?
Which was
No one would say no.
$35.
Yeah, exactly. Like a fresh squeeze, that's like
Yeah.
back it was like $3.99, and that was a ton of money.
Did you have to squeeze the oranges?
No, I didn't have to squeeze the oranges. We had an orange squeezing guy in back.
Quite a process.
But that's the reason I felt deceptive, and so halfway into my 4th day, I quit.
No way.
Halfway into my 4th day, I quit. So
Is it because someone waited for you and kicked you in the
I just-
kneecap afterwards? You left work and you were
I
like,
coulda-
darn it, these
morally
orange
speaking,
juices.
morally speaking, I couldn't do the job.
That doesn't surprise
My
me.
favorite job, though, it was actually parking cars at Ravinia. I love Ravinia. This is well documented this summer. We got to actually announce their whole summer lineup this
Yes,
summer.
you
Can't wait to go
did.
to Ravinia this summer multiple times. But the reason why parking cars there were so great is because it was all kids our age. So they're like little crushes, you know what I mean? You had your
course.
like work crush, and you know you could interact with all the other high school kids who worked there during the summer.
Yeah.
And then you could listen to the show.
Yeah.
During the concert, you just chilled. So once the cars were parked, you were just hanging out with
You know
other
what else he did,
teenagers,
though?
listening to live music. It was amazing.
Hi, Anthony. I'm wondering what's the lineup for Ravinia this year? He used to play tricks on people.
That's right. That's right. I did work in the phone room. That you're talking about my customer service role.
Yes!
I'll tell the stories for another time. But yes, I did take calls. I worked. You know, I had the headset and everything, and we would take thousands of phone calls per summer.
Isn't it
that
the
was
best?
also
You
at
have
Ravinia.
no like responsibilities, no bills, no kids to take care of. You can just relax and have money to go to the mall with your friends or go to Starbucks.
So great. So
you know?
great.
Just
those
relax.
Caitlin, those were simpler times.
Those were simpler times.
Those were simpler times.
I like those jobs though. Summer job, and it's nice out. There's
What
nothing
could be
better.
better?
Nothing
What could be
better.
better? And hey, bottom line, parents out there, you make your kids work. As soon as they're old enough, get that summer job. Don't you feel like you took away a lot of life lessons from the summer gig, the value of money? I mean, we were making
Right.
probably minimum wage, all
It
of
was
us, but
a blast.
But you
It was a
had fun.
blast.
You earned your own
Yes.
money. You had ownership of the stuff you bought. A lot of people were saving up for either clothes they wanted
Yeah.
or hey,
Hollister,
or
Abercrombie.
gas money.
Yeah.
Exactly.
It's expensive.
When you say Abercrombie, I just think of the cologne smell that you
And the
always smell
guys
when you
without
go-
the shirts. I don't think that
Yeah,
exists
those
anymore, does
Abercrombie
it,
models.
ladies? Do they
Okay,
still?
we have some interest.
Okay. Oh, they're not in the mall anymore, you guys.
All right, so we're going to be talking about mascots coming up, and there was a very interesting local connection to a video that has been recently going viral
On TikTok.
on TikTok. Do we want to get to that now, or should we
After the
cue
break?
that up after the break? We'll take a little break and have.
Welcome back to Chicago Now. Thanks for joining us. Okay, so now we're talking about mascots. It's that time of year again, graduation season. Seniors are starting to reveal whether they've been hiding in plain sight at their school's mascot. It turns out one of them is a local. We should have him here. His name is Charlie Huth. He's from Hinsdale and has spent the last 2 years as the mascot at the Ohio State University, Ponce.
We're going to give Jenna a little bit of time to pull that video up, which is getting some traction on TikTok. My cousin, you know the Chief Illini mascot was a source of a lot of controversy here in Illinois. I think the debate raged on for years and years because he's like dressed up like a Native American,
yes,
right?
Right.
And so this is my cousin who was at the. I mean, he was just the guy playing the role, but this is a mascot that was a national conversation because all these mascots have gone away. The Cleveland Indians are no longer they're the Guardians. The Washington Redskins are gone. They are now the Commanders.
Yeah.
They're now the Commanders. So same deal down in Champaign. And he got dressed up. This is on the Mexican side of my family, so he had kind of the look, if you want to, you know what I mean?
Yes, sure.
He had kind of the right look. This is Logan, my cousin. Hi, Logan, if you're watching. And he got dressed up in the full regalia, but this was a family. It was like watching a tennis
kept it
match.
quiet.
Yeah, exactly. No, we didn't keep it quiet.
Oh.
He was on the cover of all these magazines and
Got it.
everything. Before that controversy was kind of resolved, but yeah, that was.
How did he feel about it? Was he stressed?
Yeah. I think it was a source of stress for him, but he had a good time doing it, and he was really good at the role. I mean, there was like a drum beat and everything like that, so it was a. I mean, he leaned into the role, but until it was no longer cool. So, all right, so we got this clip. Let's say hi to Charlie Huth.
I'm Emily Hayward.
There
I'm
he
from Lawrence,
is.
Pennsylvania.
My name's Charlie Huth. I'm from Hinsdale, Illinois, and I'm
So
studying
this
civil
is
engineering.
Emily and
I'm a senior studying
Charlie.
biomedical engineering
They're
at Ohio State.
student
but for the
athletes who
last 3
bring
years,
our
For
favorite
the last 2
mascot to
years,
life.
you've known me as a British
Oh.
guy.
Wait, that's
was,
really
like,
cute.
kinda
I
having a
want
hard
one of
time
those
finding
sweaters.
Something to be involved with outside of academics. And
How
then
fun is
came
that?
across
I mean,
some of the
people,
guys
mascots
that,
really bring the energy. I feel like you have to be in tip-top shape to be a
for
good
sure,
mascot.
especially during the middle of summer.
Oh yeah.
When you're just like boiling in that outfit. And the other thing is like, when Benny the Bull visits or any of these mascots, they're always in character.
Always.
You know what I mean? They're
They
always
won't talk to
dancing.
you.
They don't talk, but then you get into character too when you're interacting with them. You're like,
'Cause
this
they're
is
so
an
fun.
animal. You feel,
Yes.
the guard, any like.
You become a kid again.
You become a kid again.
Yeah,
You
they're the
become a kid
best. They're the best. You really have to. I understand why. I bet it's a strenuous, competitive environment to try out to be one of these mascots.
Probably have to sign all kinds of
Do you
waivers.
think
I will not
wait.
sue the school if I overheat in this outfit.
Do you get a scholarship for
That's
being
good
a
question.
mascot?
I've got to ask
Ladies.
Charlie. Maybe we need to
Ladies.
interview Charlie on Good Day.
I
Charlie
think we
Huth,
should.
right, from Hinsdale?
Can we call Charlie
The
Huth up?
Ohio State University. Okay.
I love that idea. If you're
Well-
not really, playing football, you could at least
Yeah, exactly.
throw on a costume and get some benefits here.
All right, we are 20 seconds away from 11 a.m., so we are going to have to wrap things up. Caitlin,
This
it's
was
been an
so
absolute pleasure
fun.
to co-host the debut
Yes.
episode of Chicago Now. Same time, same place. Tomorrow we will check in on your trending stories.